So as far as what we'll be talking about tonight, we'll go over briefly some of the rules. I think you guys have all should have received an email for your respective divisions on what those rules are going to be that are league specific. And the rest of the rules will be through the Babe Ruth and the Cal Ripken Standard Rulebook 2022, which we have, and we will pass out to coaches that are interested in having one of those as well. But it's pretty much standard baseball rules, and then with our league rules on top of that to kind of help clarify some items. The one thing we wanted to talk about regarding the rules was the coach or the pitch smart. And so I'm just going to share my screen real fast with the pitch smart guidelines. So this is, each of you have your own rule sheet, and it's based on age. So this is a lot of history behind pitch smart, and the pitch count limits is to save arms from burnout through the years, especially I think those kids who are playing year-round baseball, they're just see a lot more higher workload on these kids' arms. And so we're trying to help out and eliminate any undue injuries on these kids. So pretty much you have your chart for what age division you are. The minors are 9 and 10, majors 11, 12. Babe Ruth, we did the 13 to 14. So we did not use the 15 to 16, but since most of our league is 13 to 14 for Babe Ruth, we kept with that age division for the pitch smart. So the maximum pitches daily in a game you could pitch are listed here in that first column. And then based on how many pitches you pitch on a given day tells you how many days rest you need to have. So if your pitcher pitches 20 pitches in one day, then the next day he can pitch again. He doesn't need any days rest. And a day is a full calendar day. It's not 24 hours. It is, so let's say you play a game on 5 o'clock on Monday. And you have a game on Wednesday. You need full, that doesn't count. You need, even though you had 24 hour, or I guess 48 hours rest, you need full calendar days for your resting. And then the maximum, if you went to your maximum pitches in a game, that pretty much puts you at 4 days rest. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I know Wes had, we put a YouTube video out there on the rule sheet that should have had a hyperlink to. You can click on that for a little bit more explanation. I know a lot of you have coached, so hopefully this is pretty simple to follow. So that was one item we wanted just to touch base on regarding the rules. Is there any questions anyone has on this?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. What about any other questions on the rules sheet? All of your rules are pretty similar.
Hey, Jake, we do have one question that
Yeah.
came up in the chat. Just saying, can pitchers finish the batter so we aren't swapping pitchers mid at bat?
That's a great question. I personally don't know. Wes, what are your thoughts on that?
The rules let them finish a batter.
Okay,
if you hit that limit within the batter, you can finish that batter and then go. But keep in mind that's hitting the max daily pitches for the game. If you are starting a batter at, say you're at the 13, 14-year-old age group, and you start a batter at 49 pitches and you finish at 55 pitches, then you hit 55 pitches and you need 3 days rest. Yeah. But if you start a batter and he's at 91 pitches and you finish that one and he's at 98, then he'll need the next 4 days rest, but you do not have to pull him right at 95 pitches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great explanation. Perfect. Any other questions on the rule sheet that we had sent out? This is pretty much the one we were going to highlight. One thing I wanted to say, I guess, is we're really stressing this year that we keep the game going. It seems like last year and in years previous, we had like warm-up pitches, like some pitchers were taking 10. Some umpires like to just sit around and wait till you kind of nag them to get started. So pretty much we want 2 minutes max between innings, and that should be about 5 to 6 pitches. So one thing, coaches, if you can just please have your catchers ready. We will do the speed up rule with 2 outs. If your catcher gets on base, then the last batter out can swap out for him as a pinch runner. And we're just trying to get these games going as opposed to only getting in 3 or 4 innings. We'd like to get up to 5 or 6 if possible. But it's all going to depend on, the quality of play and how fast we can interchange in between innings. So if you could help us and help the umpire stay on task, that would be awesome. So these kids can play as much baseball as they can in that time allotted. And then there's one other thing I was going to add to that. Safety wise, I do want to stress once again, safety. On deck, you have to have a helmet on. There should only be 1 player on deck at a time. Everyone else needs to be inside the dugout. So especially at Bywater, where we have those concrete dugouts, a lot of times we get kids that are going up on the steps, heading out towards the field, and we just want to make sure those kids are inside the dugout, so they are going to be safe and we won't have any accidents during playing field while we're playing our games. So yeah, I think that's all I have as far as rules go. If there's no questions, the rest of this will be game changer, and Wes is going to kind of take over on that. So I will let him go
Sure.
ahead and do that. So
Before we do that, do we want to quickly go over the drop dead times and continuation? I think those are things that come up often.
yeah,
in
when you go
games.
ahead, Wes, do you want to take that?
Sure. So in the rules, we did list the no new, and it's a little bit different for each age group. So look at your age group to know that. But we do have time limits on games. Obviously, most of them we have games that are happening after, and we are got to make sure we have enough sunlight for that second game. And then for the late ones, we have safety issues with the sun going down. So we have time limits on the games. We have no new innings after usually 15 minutes before the drop dead time to try to get one last quick inning in. However, we do set drop dead times for those games that if we do not reach the conclusion of the inning at that time, the game will stop at that point, and it will revert back score-wise to the last completed full inning. So that's just something we want to make sure we understand, and we know as coaches is a possibility of happening. I would hope each of the coaches, even if it might be beneficial to try to drag your feet to try to win the right way, get your guys out there, try to complete the innings, and trust your boys to get the job done and not try to win on technicalities, but we got to protect the games afterwards and give them the proper time. Any questions about that? I know that's something as a coach that has come up in the past. We just want to make sure that's clear with the coaches that no new innings after 15 minutes before the drop dead time, and then the game ends at that drop dead time. And if we're in the middle, we revert back to the last completed inning for score. Okay. The only other item that we want to make sure is clear, that's been something kind of that we kind of clarified a little this year. We simplified the rules on scoring. We do have limits on the number of runs you can score in an inning. It used to say a certain amount of, hit through the lineup or a score. We simplified it and made it just about the score, usually 6 innings, a little bit different. I believe in Babe Ruth, it's 7 runs per inning. Sorry, 6 runs in an inning, 7 for Babe Ruth. But there is, we just want to clarify that there is no continuation rule. If you have a guy you have 5 runs that inning, have a guy on third and he hits a home run, congratulations, it's a home run, celebrate it, but you will only get the 6 runs per inning. Leads prevent situations where people load bases and run outside of what they normally would do within the rules of baseball, trying to score extra continuation runs that are, outside the limits of what the game is. It's an advantage for the team that goes second, where the first team wouldn't necessarily know what they have to do to do that. So it is a true 6 runs per half inning is all you're going to be allowed, no matter how many are on base.
Yeah, and one other thing I would like to highlight is regarding batting and substitution. So we in our league, it's free substitution. So it's not like Major League Baseball where there's only 9 or 10 players playing at a time. We do allow everyone to bat, and then it's free substitutions between innings or during an inning if you need to take out a pitcher. But anyway, that allows for these kids to get as much playing time. We want them all to bat. And I know some of our teams have a little bit more players on their roster. So it just allows everyone to be engaged a little bit more. So.
Any questions about those rules before we move on to Game Changer? All right. If you have any that come up, please feel free to email the league, reach out to us, and we'll help clarify any questions that you might have. All right. So Game Changer, I'm going to share on a different screen here. I've got 2 accounts going, so I can share my phone here. All right. So Game Changer, many of you are aware of, others might not, is the app that we use to maintain our scorekeeping for the league. It's where we score wins and losses. It's a great tool for communicating with the team. I know many of you use it already, and it's been a good tool for that. If you don't have it, it's the green icon with the 1 here on the screen right there, has the GC. There is another version of it called the Game Changer Classic, which we've used in past years, that has a baseball icon. That one we are no longer connected to, so please make sure you're updating to the green Game Changer icon. When you log into it for the first time, I believe most of you probably already have, you will have to add it should automatically add your team to your list of teams. I can kind of see all the teams right here because we'll explain in a minute where I'm listed. I'm in the Cal Ripken account, so I can see all the teams for administrative purposes, but you should only be able to see the team that you are a part of if you signed up to Game Changer with the account that you registered your child into Cal Ripken baseball with. It pulls that information across, it'll recognize what team your child is associated with, and it will pull that one in. If for some reason you are not the account that is and you need to do it, or if you have members on your team, family members who want to download it, they can do that by up in the top left corner. You can see there's a magnifying glass. They can click on that, and then they just have to filter, we're playing baseball, spring of 2022, and Cottonwood Heights. Makes it easier to sort through all of it. And then you can, I think the easiest thing is if they can search for the name of the name of the coach for most teams, they'd be able to find it. My one son's on Coach Lafine's team. So if I search there.
I think he did summer 2022.
Oh, I did summer 2022. You're right. Sorry, spring 2022. And apply that, and then there it is, Miners, Giants, Lafine. I can click on that and I can add myself to it. So if you have parents who want to follow along, or you have people willing to be do the Game Changers, that will list the team there. Okay. once they add themselves in, they will have an option to associate themselves with a child to see the details of it. So they'll be able to bring up their child on the team roster, click on it and say, this is my relationship to them. It will then send a message to the coach to accept that. If you recognize that that's the mom or dad's name, you can accept immediately. If you're not sure, reach out to the child or the parent that you are aware of. Make sure we're adding the right people to the accounts, and they should be able to, if they can't be a game, they'll be able to see the scores and everything else as we go along. So very, very helpful tool for families. If any of them do have questions, just look for us at games. We'll gladly help people get logged in and set up with this tool, or at practices if they're there. We'll help get them in and logged in if they need. All right, for the game changer itself and keeping track of scores, to do that, you must be an admin on your team. Each team can have up to 4 admins. However, one of them must be the Brighton baseball. Click on Brighton White Lightning, which is one of our Babe Ruth teams. If I go to team, I can see on a staff that they have Coach Miller is listed, and then Brighton Cal Ripken baseball is listed there. Please don't remove the Brighton Cal Ripken baseball. That is us. That's what we need to be able to see the stats and record and keep everything up to date. So we need to maintain that one. The other 2 can be ideally either your assistant coach and a scorekeeper, or 2 scorekeepers, so they can alternate between listed as the other ones. It is worth noting, I think Zach, I'm going to pull up your teams. Some team, when we loaded the schedule, anyone who volunteered for a position automatically loaded into the staff. You can see it staff is 8 of 4 positions. Everyone on that list currently has the ability to do admin scorekeeping on there. However, if you need to make a change and add somebody to it, you're going to have to remove this list down to 3, so you can then add a 4th person to it. So you kind of get a bonus if everyone you need was preloaded. But at this point, any changes, you have to bring it under that 4 admin limit. Okay. All right. To actual scorekeeping, if you're scorekeeping, the scorekeeping app within the Game Changer can be quite intimidating. It's a pretty complete app that you can do a lot of things, do some really deep dive into statistics and hit charts and really get into some statistics. However, we are not, as a league, interested in full stats. We want to emphasize that we are using this to properly track the score and the correct pitch counts for pitchers. That's really what we expect to have correct, is just make sure you're getting the score right. We're getting the right pitch counts on the right pitchers, so we can track that. And the rest of it is, just kind of gravy. If you are an advanced user, you want to keep that level of stats, you're more than welcome to. But for this training, we're just going to focus on the real high level, what we need to be able to score a team or score a game and record the stats that we need as a league. It is also worth noting that in a game, the home team will be the official scorekeeper, though the visiting team will have it available to them and be able to track their stats separately in their game. So if you want to do it for your own stat keeping, or to just make sure, they match up at the end of the game, you're more than welcome as a visiting team to do the Game Changer as well. But when we look at results for a game, we're going to be looking for that home team's scores and results to be recorded as the kind of the main game. So please know that that's your responsibility when you are the home team, to make sure it's being recorded in Game Changer. As an away team, that does mean you will, and we'll talk about this in a minute, you will have to provide your batting order to that home team scorekeeper so they can put it into the system and be able to track who's at bat and do that correctly, and we'll cover that in a minute. So just know, if you're the visiting coach, it's good to have a written down lineup that you can hand over to the other team so they can input that before the game starts. Before I go into a practice game and kind of show some of how the scorekeeping works, does anyone have any questions about kind of this administrative side of the game changer? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into a game. Zach, I'm going to jump into an account. Zach, I'm going to use yours again, if you don't mind. If you are in your team and you are an admin, you have the ability to do a practice game. I encourage each of you who might be doing Game Changer, or if you have somebody that's volunteering to do it on your team, show them where this is, so they can practice and get a feel of how it works. So if you come into a team like we are right here, the gear at the top right corner for settings, if you click on that, you'll have an option to practice scoring a game. And you click on that, and it's going to bring up a fake game with fake players within it. Before you, this is kind of the basic look of Game Changer. Before you start, you want to make sure your lineups are correct. Down at the bottom, you can see that we have my team and the opponent's team. I want to make sure everyone on my team is batting. So if I click on my team, I can see that the lineup is set 1 through 9. But if I click add from bench, I can see I have 2 more additional players, Roberts and Ashton. I want to make sure everyone is batting. So I click on both of them to add them to it. I hit done in the top right corner. So now I have all 11 batters batting on my team. However, I don't want Ashton batting last. He did it last game, so I want him hitting a little earlier in the lineup. So I can click on him. I lift him up before we start to the 3rd spot. He's now hitting 3rd in the lineup. Again, I'm not overly concerned about what position they're listed at. Reynolds might start the game at shortstop. At some point, he might move over to left field. I'm not going to take the time. We don't need you to take the time to mark where Reynolds moves around throughout the game with the free substitutions. That'll be quite cumbersome to do. But I do want to make sure I do have Santos number 55 as the pitcher today. That one I do want to make sure I have marked. Before the game starts, if I'm the home, I would do the same thing to the opponent. So I click on the opponent down below. I should be able to see all their players will be preloaded. I don't need to put in each of their names. It will pull everyone from you're visiting the opponent team into there. I just need to bring them into the lineup, need to add their extra players. Botts and Martin need to be added. I hit done. I have all 11 their players, and then using their lineup, I would move them around to where they are going to be batting. Once they have them lined up to match what they gave me as a lineup, we're ready to score the game. Any questions about setting up the lineups and the responsibilities of the home team, visiting team? Okay. All right. So at this point, we come back to the game. We're ready to play. We can see at the top that Reynolds is at bat. Houghton is our pitcher today. And to really start off every at bat, we just need to click the giant pitch button in the middle, and it brings up a menu of what the pitches will be. So, you know, as a gamekeeper, we kind of have to be watching a little bit, see what the pitches are. First pitch is a ball. I mark it. We're at 1 ball, 0 strikes. Calls a strike on the next. He fouls one off. We've got 1 ball, 2 strikes, and then he gets a hit. So the blue ball in the middle, blue one in the middle, I can say it's a ball in play, and he hits a line drive, and it's a single. And then I just kind of choose where that bat hit. He hit it over to right field, who grabbed it about, you know, short, shallow right field. So now we have Reynolds on base, and now moves to the next batter, which is number 25, Underwood. Again, I can hit the pitch here, and I can start with the next batter. Now, we know things will happen. There'll be wild pitches. The guy will steal bases. You can do it however you want. You just have to grab your finger and drag the person to the base that they're going to. You can mark them safe or out. So I drew them there. They're safe. How did he get there? Again, you can get really detailed on defensive interference or whatever, but really just, they stole the base, whatever. We got them to that base. They then get over to third base. How'd they get there? Stolen base. Okay. We come back to the pitching. They put a ball in play. It's a ground ball, but this time they got out. So up at the very top where it says batter out, I click on that and I can say that they were out at first. So they're all like, what happened? Well, he hit a ground ball to the first baseman. He caught it right by the bag. So he's out. Reynolds, did he stay? Did he go? We'll say he stayed there. He didn't score on the play. Actually, let's say he did. So I'm going to say done. He's there. Reynolds moves. They ask me a question. Did he run home? Is he safe? Did he get out or did he go back? We'll say he's safe. He scored. The score is now 1-0. Pretty straightforward for keeping track of that. Any questions so far on that?
Yeah, Wes, I've got a question. What do you do if you've been scoring this along and the ump calls it back? How do you move it? How do you move it back? How do you move the second base back to first and so on?
So if you look down in the bottom right corner, you have an undo button. You can click on that and it will take you back as far as you need to go to do some of those items. Oops, that's the hitting chart. And so you have the ability to quickly go back a play or two if you miss something and move him back to where you need to do. So I moved him back there. Nope, I went too far. I want him at third base. I have Underwood back up to bat again, and now I can redo his at bat on where he hit it out. I thought they called him out, but the ump called him safe. So now I can do the ground ball. Was a single to here, and he's safe. And he went back to the bag. He didn't actually score, right? So that undo, redo down in the bottom corner is there. I believe you have the option to come in here. So what I did is I clicked on the menu up at the top. If things really get off, again, we're just trying to get the score right and all that. You can come up into the menu and you can do a manual override. So you can see right here, you got manual override, and I can add, the Tigers scored a run. I don't know what happened. We missed it, but they got it there and I can't fix it, but they scored 2 runs that inning. And there's now 2 outs there. And I can save that. And we've now made it 2 outs and 2 runs have scored for the team, for the Tigers. So if things get off, you can manually go in and update those items to get the score right. If I need to get a guy off the base, I just can go out and just click on other. It doesn't really matter. Now I've got him off base. I've got my third out. I'm not overly concerned about who made the put out. I don't know. We're not really tracking that. I'll say the third baseman did. I just need him off the base. We've ended the half inning and I can accept and switch to the next side. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sorry, it does. I mean, listen, I get this is somewhat easier that you're showing it. It's still a lot of movement. I'm here with Christine, who did this last year, and you get caught up in a couple of fast moving innings, and you can get lost on this pretty quick. If she decides she wants to do this manually, can you explain what needs to be put into Game Changer at the end of the inning?
Sure. So really what we want to make sure we are capturing, if you're going to be doing this manually, it probably will. I don't know how easy it would be to add in pitch counts. We still want to get that information over to us if in an email other than that. But really at that point, if you're going to be scoring this, through a manual process, just come into the manual override and add in the runs per half of the inning. And Here, I'll move that down so we can see a little bit. Make the changes that you need, you know, where we are, and get that added in. So, you know, at the bottom of the inning, I know I did this backwards. They scored 1 run or 10 runs, however we want to do it. Got fat fingers.